Nico Gonzalez has paid off gamble to vindicate critical Manchester City call. Manchester City midfielder Nico Gonzalez has allowed the Blues to move on from what was becoming a nagging issue for Pep Guardiola. It is just over a month since Manchester City touched down in Villarreal for their third Champions League game this season, and once again they were having to find a Rodri substitute. The Ballon d'Or winner was being honoured with a plaque outside the stadium of his former club and was due to do media commitments, but wasn't fit enough to be included in the matchday squad. Step forward Nico Gonzalez, who was still looking to show he could be a leading man for City. Gonzalez had watched Rodri star in the 2-0 win over Napoli to kickstart their European campaign, with the talk then of how good Rodri looked starting his second game in 5 days. Gonzalez had then replaced an indifferent Rodri in Monaco a few weeks later, only to concede a late penalty that allowed the home team to equalise and left Erling Haaland so angry he stormed off the pitch. The penalty seemed harsh, but it added to the narrative that has lasted over a year, that City without Rodri are missing a fundamental ingredient for success. 4 days later, it was Rodri's name on the team sheet at Brentford, only for him to suffer a hamstring injury in the 20th minute that required Gonzalez to rush onto the pitch. That moment forced City to be more cautious about how they used Rodri and take the plunge on Gonzalez. City's January signing has started 7 of the last 8 games, and may have had a clean sweep if a nasty blow in Villarreal hadn't forced him out of the Aston Villa game. It did not seem a coincidence that City's midfield did not look the same at Villa Park as it has in other games, as Gonzalez has really made his mark. He may not be Rodri, and City may not yet have a team capable of conquering all. They still have their vulnerabilities, as Saturday's defeat to Newcastle showed. However, the last month has moved Pep Guardiola's team on from the focus on Rodri, and that has only happened because Gonzalez has stepped up his level and flourished with the added responsibility he has been given. City will still be a better team when Rodri returns, and there is an argument for playing him with Gonzalez. But one of the major themes from last season's struggles that threatened to spill into this campaign suddenly feels like much less of an issue. If City can beat Leverkusen on Tuesday night and effectively book a top 24 place with 3 games to go, progress in the Champions League will feel a lot easier too. Manchester City promote 2 youngsters to first-team training ahead of Leverkusen fixture. As squad confirmed, Manchester City have trained ahead of Tuesday's Champions League clash with Bayer Leverkusen at the Etihad. Academy midfielder Jadon Heskey and defender Jadon Katongo have trained with the Manchester City first team ahead of their Champions League fixture against Bayer Leverkusen on Tuesday. The 19-year-old Heskey made his first team debut against Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup in September and was included in the session with 3 midfielders missing out. Mateo Kovacic is ruled out until February, while Rodri remains on the sidelines as City preach caution with his fitness. Calvin Phillips was also missing from training at the City Football Academy. Phillips isn't registered in the Champions League squad, but has been training. His absence meant Heskey was promoted. He has captained in the under-21s in Premier League 2 this season and has played every minute of that campaign under Ben Wilkinson. Katongo, 21, has featured in 3 Premier League 2 games this season and was promoted to first-team training, having been part of the under-21 squad recently. He is ineligible for UEFA Youth League games, with Wilkinson preparing an under-19 squad for that competition on Monday. Attacking midfielder Divine Mukasa also took part in training. Mukasa has played for the first team this season and was part of a 23-man squad ahead of the game against the Bundesliga side. Pep Guardiola offered a fresh update on Rodri's fitness at his press conference earlier on Monday that suggested the Spaniard might be out for a little longer yet. "Not long, not short, but not long," he said. "We're in the process that he will be back, and when he is back, we will wait a little bit more to make sure he's fine." Manchester City will head to Bayer 04 Leverkusen without Rodri once again, as the midfielder continues his battle to regain full fitness. After a series of setbacks following his recovery from an anterior cruciate ligament injury, the Spanish international has been sidelined for recent fixtures against Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle and Liverpool. Rodri, who hasn't started a match since suffering a hamstring issue against Brentford in early October, is still working his way back to peak form. His only appearance since then came as a late substitute in City's 7-2 win over Bournemouth, but his comeback attempt was cut short. Guardiola has confirmed that Rodri will miss Tuesday. Etihad, with the manager stressing the importance of giving the player ample time to recover. Rodri is making progress, Guardiola said. It's been nearly 4 weeks since his last setback. He knows the physical and mental challenges he's facing. He must be patient and take the necessary time to get back to his best so he can be consistent for the rest of the season. The 29-year-old, who enjoyed a standout season in 2024, including a Ballon d'Or nomination, has struggled to maintain fitness since his return to action. Guardiola is taking a cautious approach with Rodri's recovery, prioritising long-term availability over rushing him back too soon. In addition to Rodri's absence, City will also be without Mateo Kovacic, who is recovering from Achilles surgery. However, Guardiola confirmed that the rest of the squad is fit and ready for what promises to be a tough encounter against Bayer 04 Leverkusen, a team currently performing strongly. Bayer 04 Leverkusen is a top team, Guardiola said. They're one of the toughest sides to face, especially at home. They're in Champions League form and doing really well, so we know it'll be a difficult match. But we're ready for the challenge. The fixture marks the start of a grueling period for Manchester City, with 2 matches a week set to continue until January. With the international breaks behind them, Guardiola believes the real season begins now. Now that we're through the international windows, this is when the season truly kicks off, Guardiola explained. It's a long stretch ahead, but what matters most is staying competitive and being in contention by the time we reach the final stretch in April and May. Guardiola also reflected on the tight race at the top of the table, pointing to previous experiences with teams like Liverpool and Arsenal. When you get an advantage, it's hard for others to catch up. But right now, it's November, and nothing is decided yet. The real test comes in February and March. With a demanding run of fixtures ahead, Guardiola stressed the importance of building momentum. Winning tomorrow is crucial for us. We need to keep pushing and be in a good position when the season reaches its peak. Manchester City teenage sensation is doing Erling Haaland things as transfer coup pays off. Teddy Lamb has been in sensational goal-scoring form for Manchester City under-18s this season. On a day when Erling Haaland failed to score for just the 3rd time in 21 games for club and country this season, another Manchester City scoring sensation kept up his incredible goal record. Haaland drew a blank as City lost at Newcastle in the Premier League on Saturday night. But at academy level, Teddy Lamb continues to find the net with ruthless regularity. The teenage sensation scored twice and set up the other 2 goals as City's under-18s beat Sheffield United 4-1 in the Premier League Cup. It wasn't enough to see the young Blues through to the knockout stage as they missed out on top spot on goal difference to Crystal Palace. But the contest on Saturday morning served as a further reminder of the burgeoning talents of the prolific Lamb. He netted 5 goals in the 3 group games, while his under-18 Premier League record stands at 8 goals in as many games. It's a superb record for the youngster who arrived from Leyton Orient earlier this year for £355,000. Still only 16 years old, Lamb is already displaying the goal-scoring impact that caught the eye of City scouts when the youngster was coming through at Orient. The forward has been touted as one to watch with his goals grabbing the headlines, but his all-round ability to hold up the ball and link play also catching the eye. And Lamb, speaking after the 7-3 win over Blackburn in August, reiterated his desire to continue learning and developing over the coming campaign. My technical game, as a number 9 you want to have that all-round play and not just the finishing and pressing, he said. So just to tidy everything up and I will look a lot better. I want to go again and get more. I don't want to stop here. I want to carry on going. Lamb was attracting attention from a number of top clubs with his displays for Orient at youth level, but City won the race for his signing. Oliver Rice's under-18 side are top of the table with 8 wins from 9 games, and Lamb's goals have been a key ingredient. Rice is delighted to see Lamb in such form, even if he finding the net regularly is the requirement he demands from a centre-forward. That's his job. Scoring goals. I'm happy with him, of course, but it's nice to see, Rice said earlier this season. Again, us scoring goals, it doesn't matter who, but when our number 9 scores a lot of goals, of course I'm happy with him, and I'm happy for him. Wayne Rooney gives Manchester City penalty verdict after clear Phil Foden moment. Wayne Rooney reckons Manchester City should have been awarded a penalty in their 2-1 defeat to Newcastle United on Saturday evening. Wayne Rooney has argued that Manchester City were denied a clear penalty during their Premier League loss to Newcastle United. Ruben Dias's second-half equaliser wasn't enough for City at St James's Park, as a Harvey Barnes brace dealt Pep Guardiola's side their first defeat in 5 games. The outcome brought welcome relief for Howe, as his side increased their distance from the relegation zone. For Guardiola, it represented a significant blow to City's ambitions of overtaking Arsenal at the top of the league. The majority of the drama at St James's Park unfolded after the interval. However, the visiting City supporters reckoned they were owed a penalty before half-time when Fabian Schär challenged Phil Foden inside the area. Despite his historic rivalry with City fans, Rooney shares their opinion. He said on Match of the Day, "I think it is a penalty. I think it's good play from Manchester City. Jeremy Doku getting in the pocket, plays a lovely ball to Phil Foden. And from there you think he's maybe just snatched at it, but from this angle you see he's stretching for the ball, the defender comes across, clearly doesn't take the ball, and hits Phil Foden on top of his foot. So I think that's a penalty." MOTD host Mark Chapman attempted to clarify the rule the referee was following as he stated, "Where there is contact, following an attacker either passing the ball or taking a shot at goal, where the contact is inevitable or a consequence of momentum,